Hello, dear viewers. Welcome back. Now, prepare a cup of tea and let's sit together to explore another meaningful story that I bring to you today. You know how sometimes you can instantly dislike someone just as easily as you can fall for someone? Maybe it's the same kind of chemical reaction, just in reverse. I work as a mid-level manager at a big chain store. My job mostly involves handling external contacts, so I'm not really in charge of anyone internally. Because of this, I didn't think much about starting a relationship with Mia, one of the sales associates. There was no conflict of interest or scandal since I wasn't her boss. We weren't exactly showing off our relationship, but we weren't hiding it either. And, in a place where gossip spreads like wildfire, especially among the women's team, everyone knew soon enough. Mia and I had been together for a year, and were making wedding plans. Honestly, if Mia hadn't shared the news in confidence with a coworker, it might have stayed a secret longer. But you know how that goes. In confidence to one person quickly becomes public knowledge. Still, everything was great. We didn't fight, our intimacy was strong, and Mia was stunning. Pretty face, incredible figure. She always arrived at work an hour before me and left an hour earlier too. Things were going smoothly until Ryan showed up. Ryan was hired as a warehouse worker, handling deliveries, unloading trucks, and stocking shelves. At first glance, he seemed ordinary. Average face, athletic build, taller and broader than me. But he was a shameless flirt. Word quickly spread that he made moves on practically every woman in the store. He'd charm one for a while, leave with her after work, and when things inevitably fell apart, he'd move on to the next. This didn't bother me until he turned his attention to me. For some reason, he seemed to dislike me right away and made it his mission to throw out sly, cutting remarks whenever he could. These weren't the kind of insults to make me lose my temper, but they were subtle enough to sting. Little digs, made in front of others, leaving me tongue-tied. You know that feeling when you think of the perfect comeback hours later? That was me. For instance, he'd glance at my polished shoes and say, "Guess the only workout Sam can handle is bending over to shine those loafers." Or if I fidgeted, he'd smirk and say, "Dude, if you're that nervous about making it to the bathroom, adult diapers are on aisle 6. People would laugh, sometimes even Mia. It felt humiliating to confront him because he always disguised his jabs as jokes. Eventually, I started avoiding him altogether, but it was like he enjoyed cornering me when I least expected it. Then Ryan found out about Mia and me. More than once, I saw him chatting with her, away from customers. He'd flirt, and Mia would giggle, twisting her hair, just like she used to with me. That night, I laid it out for her. I told her Ryan was bullying me with his digs, that he had a reputation as a player, and that I was sure he had his sights on her. "Mia," I said, "I need you to cut him off. No more chatting, no more hanging out. Call me paranoid if you want, but to him, this is just a game." She gave me a soft smile and replied, "Sam, I love you. I'm not letting him get anywhere with me. Don't worry." I wanted to feel reassured, but deep down, I wished she'd promised to avoid him completely or even tell him to back off. The next day, I saw them again, far from her department, laughing and chatting. I know enough about body language to pick up on the signs. Feet pointed at him, shoulders back, posture open. It screamed, "I like you." They weren't touching, but it made me feel sick. Later, I saw them in different parts of the store, always talking, always with that same energy. When I confronted Mia again, she flat out denied it. She said they hadn't spoken at all. I could have told her I'd seen it, or even checked security footage, but what good would that do? They hadn't crossed the line yet, and calling her out might only make her more secretive. A part of me kept hoping she'd snap out of it. Meanwhile, I started showering her with affection, trying to reignite what we had. But then Saturday came, and she didn't come home. Her shift ended, but she was nowhere to be found. Instead, I got a text saying she was meeting girlfriends and would be late. I knew exactly where she was, even without proof. And then, the proof came. Straight from Ryan. He sent me a link to a video, stored in his cloud. I saw the video that ended everything. On the screen, Mia was fully engrossed, giving Ryan her undivided attention. Then, Ryan turned the phone camera to himself, smirked, and flipped me off, making it painfully clear he filmed this with me in mind. The camera panned back to her as he gently flicked her nose to grab her attention. She looked up, acting playfully annoyed, but you could tell she liked it. "Hey," he said, "we'll watch this later and remember the good times. Come on, blow a kiss." Mia smiled, raised 2 fingers in a peace sign, and puckered her lips as if sending a kiss. She probably had no idea her so-called lover planned on sharing the video. Watching it, I felt like she was performing for me, rubbing salt in the wound. At that moment, I knew it was over. There was no coming back. As for Mia and Ryan, they carried on without a care, and as humiliating as it is to admit, I watched the entire thing. At the end of the video, Ryan, panting, asked, "So, how was that? Am I better than Sam?" She laughed and replied, "Better? I'm going to find you at work tomorrow before he even shows up." That's kind of risky," she half protested. But he tapped her cheek, grinning, and said, "I'll decide when and where. Got it? You're mine now." The gut punch was brutal, but weirdly, I also felt a sense of relief. There was no longer any doubt. I started packing Mia's belongings into boxes. After an hour, I drove to her parents' house, dropped off 3 boxes and a duffel bag at their front door, rang the bell, and left before they could see me. Her dad opened the door, stared at the pile, and I sped off. Back home, I grabbed a bottle of whiskey she had given me months ago. I was ready to drink the night away, but a crazy idea started forming in my mind. The next day at work, Ryan would undoubtedly be waiting to rub my nose in it, probably with an audience. He'd expect me to be too humiliated to fight back, maybe even quit out of shame. But I had other plans. I turned off my phone, disconnected the doorbell, locked up tight, and shoved makeshift earplugs in my ears. Apparently, Mia came banging on my door, screaming for over an hour, but I didn't care. Morning came, and I parked a block away from work, walking in with a paper bag under my arm. Sure enough, there was Ryan, surrounded by warehouse workers and a few curious sales associates, waiting to see how I'd react. I gave them a show. "Hey, Ryan," I called out, forcing a big grin. "Thanks, man. You saved me a ton of hassle. Here, take this." I pulled the whiskey bottle out of the bag. "It's from home, so no one can accuse me of stealing store stock. Have a drink. Share it with my ex if you want." He blinked, confused. "What?" "Yeah, dude," I continued. "I've wanted to ditch Mia for ages but felt guilty because she hadn't given me a reason. When I saw you making moves, I thought, perfect. Now I've got the excuse I need. So, thanks for doing the dirty work." I grinned wider. "Appreciate it, man." He squinted, trying to process what I was saying. "What are you talking about?" I feigned surprise. "You didn't guess? I figured you were smart enough to see it. I turned a blind eye so you'd give me a reason to end it. Everybody wins, except Mia, I guess." Then I noticed a coworker of his holding a phone with a distinctive case, paused on that explicit video. "Perfect." "Oh, hey," I said, pretending to notice. "Did everyone see the famous clip? Mind if I take a look?" The coworker froze, and I snatched the phone. My fingers trembled with adrenaline, but I acted calm. I opened the video folder, selected multiple files, and hit send to all contacts. Hang on," Ryan stammered, but it was too late. "Oh no," I said, mock horror on my face. "Looks like I hit the wrong button. Whoops." Moments later, the explicit video started playing, and the gathered employees stared, stunned. Then came the gasps. Suddenly, half a dozen female co-workers looked horrified as the full extent of Ryan's stash started to sink in. "Wait, you sent that to all his contacts?" one of the women cried, clutching her phone. That means my husband too," another groaned. "Oh God," someone else muttered. "My husband's in his contacts as well." Within minutes, the store erupted into chaos. 5 women were yelling, cursing out both Ryan and me. Turns out, in addition to Mia's video, Ryan's folder contained footage of him hooking up with several other women, some of them married. Because of his role in the warehouse, he had nearly everyone's phone numbers, including a few of their spouses. In no time, husbands and even some parents were getting a very unpleasant surprise. And for those who didn't see the videos themselves, the store's infamous rumor mill would ensure the news traveled far and wide. I didn't see Mia until lunch. She looked like a shell of herself, pale as a ghost, eyes red from crying. When we locked eyes, there was pure terror in her expression. Not fear of me, though. It was the kind of dread that comes when your life is unraveling before your eyes. People avoided her like she was radioactive, except for a couple of other women who were also clearly devastated, likely because their husbands had received some of Ryan's content as well. The next day, Ryan didn't show up for work. By lunchtime, word spread that he had been ambushed by a group of angry men and severely beaten. The rumors claimed broken bones and a hospital stay. Odds were, he wouldn't be returning anytime soon. Meanwhile, several sales associates came into work wearing heavy makeup, but even that couldn't fully mask their puffy eyes and tear-streaked faces. The sadness clung to them, stark against their attempts to act normal under bright eyeshadow and forced smiles. Thanks for hearing my story. Feel free to share your thoughts on how you would have handled it differently. If you enjoyed listening, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about relationships, betrayal, and life's unexpected twists. Until next time, take care